Hello and welcome. Let me make sure my stream is working and then we'll get the party started. I see Tim and Christopher and Naraya are here. Hello, hello. As always, thanks for joining. While I'm waiting to make sure that I'm actually live, I'll let you guys know. Okay, I'm live. I can shut that up because we don't need to hear me twice echoing. Put that in the background. Hey, Peter, how's it going? So today I'm not editing the stuff from Carly's photo shoot because I actually finished that up this morning. I've been editing all morning. So those photos are all done and delivered to Carly. So now what I'm working on is the flower photo shoot. You guys remember when I streamed that, which was what is that? December 4th. December 4th I did that, and that was the shoot with Candace and Shannon and Aaron and Tara. And I've already actually got my selections made because with this shoot we were like going for one look for each thing, so the selection part was super easy, so we can actually get right to editing. Hey Carlos, hello. I know, Tim, I did say Carly, but I got all those done. I needed to get those done. Now here's the thing, I thought I was further behind on my editing than I actually am, and it's not that I'm caught up, but I've really got two shoots to edit. I've got this shoot, which is broken into the four models that you see right here: Candace, Aaron, Shannon, and Tara. And then the photos that I took at DaishoCon of Super Casey and her Teen Titans cosplay crew. Hey, my baby's here. How's it going, hon? Judy's here as well. Kim, my wife, is here. And Tim, I wanted to answer your question from Photoblab. So actually, let me bring up your email because I read it and forgot what you asked, and I'm sorry. I know it was gear related, but I can't remember what you were saying. So let me look that up real quick so I can read it, and then we'll start editing. I just gotta find your email here. Camera troubles. Okay. When I'm trying to take a picture, I often take several and just mess with the aperture and shutter speeds so that I can hopefully find something worthwhile. Of the 3 or 4 shots that I take, I'll call it random, but not sure if it is. I will try. Oh, okay, I remember now. See, I knew I'd remember as soon as I started looking at your email. Hello, Emmanuel. How's it going? So, Tim, what is probably happening with your camera when you're in manual mode and you're messing around and then all of a sudden nothing's changing, and then you say you turn it off and turn it back on and then everything works again, which, by the way, did you try turning it off and on again? That's, if any of you have watched the IT crowd, you'll get that. But if not, you're addressing the problem you're addressing the right problem. There's just an easier way to address that problem. See, the camera meter doesn't stay active persistently, because if it did, it would drain the battery. So what happens is after like 30 seconds or so, or maybe even a minute, it depends on the camera, the meter will go inactive. And when the meter goes inactive, then the settings won't change until you reactivate the meter. All you should have to do to reactivate the meter and activate the ability to change your settings again is just press the shutter button halfway down. So try that next time you're messing around, Tim, and see if that takes care of the problem. I'm betting that's what it is, and that will take care of the problem. If it doesn't take care of the problem, then let me know. There might be something else wrong. But that's my assumption, that the camera's just going to sleep because you're waiting a longer period of time in between the shots as you're messing around, and that's why nothing will change. So, Sandy's here. Hello. Yeah, the IT crowd is hilarious. And Giorgios, am I saying your name correctly? I want to say it correctly. Hello, Todd. Hello. Everybody's here. This is awesome. Okay, so let's get to editing. And we're starting with this one right here. So we're going to get this bad boy opened up in... Oh, I hit the wrong button. There we go. Let's get this bad boy opened up in Photoshop. Start the edit. And I had something that I was going to talk about, which was my photo shoots for the weekend. But I also wanted to ask you guys, just like, how has your week been, at least since Wednesday? Because it's only been a couple of days, right? Peter, we had a truly huge cat. It was actually, Kim, tell them about Stormy, because Stormy was a monster of a cat. Not my cat, actually. It was Kim's cat from college that she ended up giving to her dad. And Stormy was like 30 some pounds, I think. And he could jump. This 30-pound cat could jump from the floor up to the top of a refrigerator, which was crazy. So that was a monster of a cat. No, I don't. Okay, send me an email and tell me how to pronounce it correctly, because I want to pronounce it correctly. I feel bad when I say it wrong. My name gets mangled all the time, so I know what it's like to not have your name pronounced correctly. And I'm not doing it on purpose. And I know you guys know that, so that's cool. Okay, let's get to work here. So I already did the Lightroom edit on here. I've already done my selecting, and we're straight into the retouch. So we're just going to get in here, and I was going to chit-chat about my plans for the weekend. So it turned into a photo shoot sort of weekend, which wasn't the initial plan, but it's what's happening. Saturday, I'm going to a local high school basketball game to test the EM1 Mark II's ability to shoot sports. And I expect to be pretty happy and pretty impressed with it, but I obviously am not going to make that judgment until it actually happens. So I don't know if you guys saw, I put that post out on Facebook on my personal profile looking for some local sporting events. So I'm looking forward to that. And then on Sunday, Otto Ott, and you guys you should know who Otto is because I've been talking about him. He's coming on the 21st for our live photo shoot to paint up Angela. Well, he's also coming this weekend on Sunday to paint up a different model and to tape up a different model. So 2 different models are coming, and I've got a photo shoot for Sunday and Monday now. So I'm going to be a busy guy. And so it's probably a good thing that I'm actually not as far behind in my editing as I thought I was, because I don't feel so as bad now, thinking that I'm taking on photo shoots when I shouldn't be taking on photo shoots because I've got a ton of editing. I do have editing to do, but this isn't going to be as big a challenge as I thought it was to get caught up. And that makes me happy because I really don't like being behind on my editing. But it happens more often than I like that I end up being behind. So, who's shooting for the weekend, and what do you have planned if you are shooting for the weekend? So what we're doing is Otto is going to do a black tape project style look on Haley is her name. And Haley is, this is Haley. So let me show you Haley. You guys have seen her. I've edited. This is Haley right here. So this is Haley body painted, but Otto's going to black tape her up. So that's going to look like this. Let me show you. I just got to find it. This is Jackie, but this is that black tape idea where you use black tape and you tape all over the person and you make an outfit out of the tape. So Otto's going to do that to Haley. And then I'm going to be shooting Haley while he paints another model as a peacock. So after that's painted, then I'll photograph her. And then on Monday, I'll be shooting with Haley again, and we're going to play with some long exposure stuff. And in addition to that, we're also going to make another giant mess in the studio with a whole bunch of black paint. So I'm very excited for these photo shoots. You guys know I love doing this messy, fun, creative stuff. So I'm looking forward to working with Otto for the first time officially, and also working with Haley for the second time, and working with this new model and coming up with some new cool photos for me to edit and be behind on editing again. So that's my weekend plan. And then Saturday during the day, I'm not sure if Kim and I are going to do... Oh, the other thing is that Pure Fandom thing that I talked about Wednesday in my week in photography, which is the podcast, the Rogue One podcast that I'm going to be doing. So I'm not going to say anything about it. I want to know what you guys thought of Rogue One. Any of you who've seen Rogue One, let me know what you think about it. And I got to see what you guys are talking about here because I'm totally behind on you guys. He was 33 pounds, yeah. I think I need a third monitor. Peter, you know what? I've actually been thinking the same thing. I kind of would like to have a third monitor because I have windows right now hidden that I would like to have available to view. but I don't actually have I don't think I have the ports available for a third monitor. That rapid fire, wasn't that crazy? I know the FPS on that camera, Sandy, it varies, of course. So when you're shooting, first of all, the maximum FPS you can get on that camera is 60, and that's with the electronic shutter. Okay, so that's not with the mechanical shutter. That's with the electronic shutter, and that is something that I'm looking forward to testing, because that can pose problems depending upon the situation you're shooting in, whether it's rolling shutter, which gives you that kind of jello look in the photo, or with lights like I'm going to be encountering in that gym, which are halogen or fluorescent style lights that flicker. But even aside from the 60 frames per second that you get with the electronic shutter, that camera is still impressive, because you can shoot 18 frames per second as the maximum burst rate, the high-speed burst rate, with your focus point locked. If you use continuous focus, you can shoot up to 15 frames per second, which is, again, still quite impressive. So I'm going to be testing all of that this Saturday at that basketball game. And I'm excited about that camera, because it's just, so far, I mean, you guys saw that shootout video. I'm very impressed with the camera. The image quality, the capabilities of it, like, it's really, really fantastic so far. Ooh, those were bad strokes there, so I gotta pull from a different spot here. So I'm just, as you can see, I'm cleaning up the hair on her arms before I get into any actual, you know, regular retouching, as it were. I was going to go up to Michigan this weekend to shoot and to live stream a jiu-jitsu tumbling event, but the place that is hosting it does not have internet that's worth a darn, and so the stream there just flat out wouldn't work. So that's why I was looking for the local sporting event. And I was hoping that it would, because I've wanted to try live streaming some sporting events, working with some of these local sports gyms and MMA fights and stuff like that. But this hasn't panned out. And I tried it once up in Eagle River for the Sixel Fight Club Border Wars fights that happened in December, if I remember correctly. But the internet there wouldn't work either. So that's the big problem when it comes to streaming, is you got to have that internet connection. If you can't get a reliable internet connection, then you can't stream, and if you can't stream, then you're out of luck. Yeah, Kim, I know you refuse to see. My wife won't see Rogue One. Todd, when I'm just trying to decide, like, I don't go for removing all of the freckles. What I do is, if I see a freckle or a particular beauty mark or body spot that pulls my attention away from the shot as a whole, then I might remove it. But generally speaking, I tend to leave freckles there unless I'm, like, just in the middle of it and I just hit one. Sometimes it's a skin blemish, sometimes it's an actual freckle, but I'm not a person who removes every single freckle. I just take out the ones that my eye catches and that distract me from the shot. Hey, Andrew is here. Haha, yes, this is Andrew from the video. And he's got an engagement shoot, a family photo shoot, and 2 model shoots. You're going to be as busy as I am. Let's see. 18. I haven't seen Rogue One, but only do available to time. Hello, Sabam. My younger brother has a photo shoot coming up for Coca-Cola this weekend as a model. Any tips for making sure it goes well from a photographer's point of view? Also, any way I can create a good modeling environment at home so that I can click some photos of him at home. Yeah, okay, so Sabam, let me address that. That's a really good question. So first of all, in terms of from the photographer's point of view, if you want to make sure that the photo shoot is going to go well, you want to basically do your homework and do your prep work. So this is, those are bad spots right there. This is something for Coca-Cola, right? So if you are doing a promo shoot of that sort, then you need to understand, you know, I'm taking this that you mean this to be a client shoot. And if that's the case, then the goal is to make sure that you're delivering what the client wants and what the client needs. So you need to do your prep work, which is to understand what the basic look and concept of the shoot is going to be, and then do whatever planning is necessary for you to be able to execute that. That's the biggest thing that's going to make your shoot successful, is being prepared to be able to execute whatever the challenge of the photo shoot is. So that means understanding the basic idea of the concept, and then having the lighting already sort of planned out as much as you can in your mind, so that when you walk into the shoot, you're not trying to build your light and the shoot from scratch, but instead you're working from the idea that you came up with, and you just need to pull that idea together and execute it. So that's really tip number one, and that comes down to communication. So you want to be communicating both with the model and talking with him or her about, you know, posing ideas and wardrobe ideas and things of that nature. But also you want to be talking to, if it's a client, you want to be talking to the client as well, and then making sure, okay, what does the client require out of this shoot, and what do I need to have ready so that we can meet the needs of that client. So that preparation is important, and that can be done, you know, through any kind of communication platform. But what's always very helpful is having images that help convey the ideas, because you can try to describe something that you're trying to achieve with a photo, but that doesn't always convey itself through to the person who you are trying to convey it to, right? So I might say, as an example, you know, dang it, I keep taking out a chunk of her arm there. You know, you might say to somebody, well, I'm going to backlight this, and I'm going to put a rim light over on, you know, camera right, and, you know, use a nice soft light, and go for that sort of a look, right? I mean, and I'm just spitballing something here. I'm just making stuff up off the top of my head. And if the person you're communicating with isn't a photographer, they might not really get anything that you say when you say, this is what I plan to do for the lighting. So that's where it's helpful to be able to go to Google or Pinterest or something like that and grab an image that is similar to what you're trying to convey. And it's not that you're going to be copying any particular image that you grab to convey this idea, but it's just to be able to say, this is kind of the look that we're going to be going for. And then the person can visualize it and understand what it is that you're talking about, rather than trying to describe the lighting or the pose or the wardrobe or anything else without any visual reference. So in your communications, make sure to use visual reference. And then finally, during the shoot itself, the communication is still going to be very important. So make sure that you're communicating with the model, talking to them regularly, making sure that they're at ease during the shoot and having a good time. Just regular chit chat. It doesn't have to be anything fancy or special, but just by engaging with the model and talking to them, you're going to do two things. Number one, you're going to help relax them and put them at ease, because you're talking to them instead of just, you know, sitting there taking pictures of them. And number two, by relaxing them and engaging with them, you'll make any time pass quicker, which makes the whole photo shoot go faster and feel faster, even if it is a multi-hour photo shoot. So those things are really important. And if you have the client there with you as well, if it is a client job, then do the same thing with the client. Talk to the client, engage with the client. And throughout the shoot, it is also, in my opinion, a good idea to be showing your work periodically. You don't have to show them every single photo, but periodically show your work so that they can see the results of the shoot and what's happening, and you know, get excited about that, and I'll also offer feedback on it so that you can achieve the look that you're looking for. So those are the things that that you can do to help make the shoot successful. Now, as far as creating a good modeling environment at home, it depends on what you're going for, because your modeling environment at home really can be just your home. And if you're going to use your home as your studio, which is something that we talked about as an option on Wednesday when we were talking about building a home studio when you don't necessarily have the space to actually build a home studio. You can essentially use your home. Whoa, that was ugly. What did I do here? Oh, I know what I did. Okay, I got to take off sample all layers and just work from the current layer. Just use your entire home as your working studio. And that's a great thing to do, because then you're taking more environmental lifestyle kind of portraits, which are great types of portraits to do. The thing with that is just make sure that your house is cleaned up, and presentable, and any unmentionable things that you don't want people to see are put away and out of sight and out of mind. And then be welcoming to the model. Make sure you, again, engage with them regularly to help put them at ease. Honestly, the environment, I mean, yes, it's not at all uncommon for photographers to use their homes, like their actual homes, as their studios. So it's not that this is something people don't expect. So really, it's again just going to be about you communicating and engaging with the person, the model, he or she, as you shoot and work in order to make them feel comfortable and at ease. That's really all you got to do. That's the biggest and most effective thing you can do. Sandy, you were asking about the low light performance of the camera. Peter was. I'm sorry, I thought it was Sandy. It's in my opinion, it's great. In fact, I can show you real quick. I'll give you a preview here, okay? Let me just run through this action here, and then I'll flip over to Lightroom real quick. So, low light performance of the EM1 Mark II, I'm really very, very pleased with. So let me grab a shot here at ISO 12,800. Here's one right here. So this is a 100% zoom in on this shot. I don't know how well this is going to translate over the internet, but this is at ISO 12,800 on the EM1 Mark II, and to me, it's phenomenal. I mean, the detail is there. Yes, you can see the noise, but I don't see any banding. I really don't see any color noise or chromatic. It's just really fantastic. So that's one example, and let me grab another example, an actual portrait of a person here. So I think this shot, that one wasn't sharp. I was messing around with focus. I think this one is good. Yeah. So again, this is 100% zoom in, and the noise is just, I just think it's fantastic. This is again at 12,800, and I'm really impressed with the low light and the high ISO noise performance of the EM1 Mark II. I would shoot this at 12,800 any day, and I'll be saying that in my review video when I do the review video. So that's what I think about it. I think it's really fantastic so far. Yes, we probably will, hon. The Olympus camera is something I'm really hoping I can afford at some point. I would love to stay active in motocross community. That would, yeah, the Olympus, I think, will do a great job for shooting something like motocross. And I would imagine that, given time, that's going to come down from $2,000. I mean, all cameras do. So at some point, I can't help but think that you'll be able to pick up the EM1 Mark II for, maybe $1,500 or something like that. Maybe even $1,000 used. So that'll be. I just saw something I got to fix, so I'm going to dump that layer for a minute. Go back to my stamp tool and clean up this little bit of hair right here underneath her eye. There we go. Let's bring that skin softening layer back, and we'll keep going with it. Hello, Newt. How's it going? Yeah, it's going to be a great camera. I love it. No, Vincent, this is not Carly. I finished the Carly photos this morning before the stream, so I moved right on to my next photo shoot. I hadn't initially planned to do that, but then my morning cleared up basically, and I just sat down and I wanted to get those done because Carly's been waiting for them. So I finished all of those up and I got those over to her, which makes me very happy because a photo shoot edited means one less that I got to worry about editing, and a happy model and a happy photographer as well. Yes, we probably will, hon. And I wanted to get these done as well because I really like working with Aaron and them, and I know that they're excited to see these photos. So let's get these done, and these should go fairly quickly as well, which is good. And I've kind of come on a dodge and burn, a slight method change for dodge and burn, which I'm excited about. So let me show you what that is in just a couple of moments because I'm almost done there, but I'm going to do just a teeny tiny bit of liquefying here. See how this is the kind of thing that I like to liquefy. See here how the dress is kind of pushing in here, and it sort of bulges out the upper part of her chest. I don't know if that would be her upper breast or not. That's the kind of thing where I just like to give it just a teeny tiny nudge in to take that bulge out. That's it. That's all the liquefy I want to do. And now let's get to dodge and burn. So dodging and burning, I sort of have a new method. Skin is still the same, but my hair and clothing dodge and burn has undergone a slight change, and it's speedier because I realized I just don't need to get in. Even though I've said it in the past, like you don't need to get in and dodge and burn every hair, I was still just in too tight when I was dodging and burning. And so I realized that if I just back it off a little bit and essentially take my own vise, it doesn't take me quite so darn long to dodge and burn. It still takes me a while. Like this morning, it was taking me about, it took me, let's see, I edited how many photos this morning? I started at 9 and I edited 4 photos, and I was editing for 3 hours. So that's, I'm ballparking that at what, 45 minutes a photo? I don't know. You guys can do that math for me, I hope. Because I can't do it right now in my head. But anyway, you'll see what I mean as soon as I get to the hair. All right, so let me see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Oh my God, this is so weird, but as I was watching your live stream, I got an email from my high school's photography club that I got selected. Hey, that's awesome, Sabab. That's really fantastic. That's really cool. Yeah, it looks really great for the ISO. I'd like to give a big thanks to you, Spyros. Your videos made me who I am as a photographer today. Sabam, thank you. I appreciate you watching, and I'm happy to be able to help and be part of your photography journey. So thank you. Just for being you and for watching the videos and for getting out there to take some damn photos. It makes me very, very happy whenever I hear of other photographers' successes, and I love hearing that. So thank you for sharing that with us and for being part of these live streams and everything else that we do. I really, really appreciate that. I feel like it's hard to be creative and original with my photography. It seems like everything has already been done 1,000 different ways. How do you get fresh original ideas without copying? Yeah, Sandy, that's something that I think everybody struggles with, and it's a hard thing to do, but really you just gotta say screw it. Like, it's all been done, so I'm just gonna do it myself. And part of what helps me is I don't spend a ton of time looking at other people's and other work. And I've talked about this before. And I always like to make it clear that I don't do that because I feel like I'm a better photographer than other people or anything like that. But rather, it number one, it frees me from thinking, oh, well, so-and-so just did that, so if I do that, it's like I'm copying them. And it also frees me from the influence of the other ideas. And again, you need other ideas in order to modify your own ideas and to develop those ideas. So it's not that I'm working in a void, because that's clearly not true. I go on Facebook, I go on Instagram, and I see stuff, and that influences me. So it's not that I live in a void and I don't see other people's work. That's not what I'm saying. But it's rather that I don't spend a lot of time deliberately thinking about what is, this photographer doing or what is that photographer doing and what am I doing and how do they compare. Instead, like, I just focus on my ideas and what I want to do. As an example, right? Like, I was just talking with a model about doing an Alice in Wonderland themed photo shoot, right? And that's been done to death. I mean, there's probably a million different Alice in Wonderland themed photos flying around the internet, but I really don't care because I haven't done it yet, and I want to do it because I think it'll be a ton of fun, and I'm thinking about different lighting ideas and how I can sort of capture the spirit of Alice in Wonderland and what I think that spirit of Alice in Wonderland is myself. And I'm going to go for something that's kind of dreamy and surreal and, you know, and just play with the idea. So I know it's a platitude in a way to say you just have to not worry about it, but that's kind of what you got to do. You just got to not worry about it. And when you find yourself worrying about it, instead of you know, letting that take hold, you just got to sit back and say, well, you know, just because it's been done doesn't mean that I can't do it. Okay, so that was my dodge and burn. Much, much quicker, right? And the effects are still really good. And that's what I realized. I realized, like, I was just getting in too tight and worrying too much about, like, the super fine details. And you don't need to, you know, you just don't need to get in that tight. So when I do that, I just look for any spots that I might have missed. And it's looking pretty good. There's just a little bit up here I want to hit. And a little bit of darkening there. And now the hair looks pretty good. All right, so that's good. All right, I want to do a little bit of dodge and burn on the headpiece here. And again, I'm just like really fast rough hitting this, and I'm going to go over it again with the burn and darken it up, and that should, you know, give me the look that I'm looking for. All right, so yeah, noise that gives a personality, exactly. Regarding low light performance, there may be a little noise, but I've stopped pixel peeping a long time ago, and knowing how to use the sensor, you can really minimize it. Exactly, Newt. That's exactly the way I approach it. Like for the review videos and everything else, I pixel peep and I look at the noise, and I might do a comparison like the D750 that we did with Andrew, which was super fun to do, by the way. But like as a photographer, I mean, I pixel peep in the sense that I got to zoom in to do my edits and things of that nature, but I just don't worry all that much about the noise, and I don't get worked up about sharpness. I want sharp photos, yes, of course, but like, you know, I'm not sitting here trying to count the eyelashes on a photo, or, you know, the hairs on the head, or, you know, these little stars right here, or whatever the case may be. You just can't get so caught up in those details because it's just really not worth it. Most people don't bother to pixel peep your photos, and so what difference does it make, you know, if it's got a little bit of noise in it or whatever? And, you know, it's just not, it's, in my opinion, it's just not worth the time that it takes to pixel peep and obsess over it. You know, the upside is that these companies continue to keep improving this stuff, which is great, because the more improvement we have in our cameras, you know, the better the images we can create. But the problem with that is, as that standard continues to raise, then people get more and more up in arms about less and less, right? And so despite the increase in quality that we have in all of these images and all of these cameras and everything else that we have to work with, I think it's detrimental in the sense that it can actually cause people to be more critical of the technical quality of an image than they need to be or should be. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, all of these technical advancements. Because, you know, we're talking about, as an example, the EM1 Mark II and its ability to shoot, you know, 18 frames per second. Well, if you had a film camera, that, you know, you'd be changing your film after that, right? Like, you know, it used to be you had to shoot sports with film. That was a whole different beast of an animal. So we're spoiled with the cameras and the technology we have this day and age. And it's not that we shouldn't use that tech by any, you know, of course we should. But people need to remember that, you know, it's been done with far, far lesser tools than the tools that we have today. And some amazing images have been captured in the past with those tools. All right, so this is going fairly quick. I'm sure the camera will be only giving ISO noise. I think people should stop worrying about noise and look at the pattern of noise. The noise pattern is very natural. And so, yeah, I agree with that, Andrew. The pattern makes a big difference. It makes a huge, huge difference in how it looks. And that's part of what helps with the EM1 Mark II. That noise pattern is very natural, very pleasing, and not at all, you know, ugly in the sense that you've got the banding that you sometimes get with the noise or any of those other sort of artifacts of the electronic processing. Yes, a whole Pinterest board of Alice in Wonderland. That's exactly right. Erin did make these headpieces. Yes, she did, hon. Yep, and Candy, you should. You should do it. That's exactly the attitude and the spirit. And Sandy, like, I get it. Because, you know, I used to sit there and think the same thing when I was trying to make videos. We were talking about this on Wednesday with Mark about Mark making videos. I used to think about making videos, and I was like, well, why should I make these videos when everybody out on the internet, you know, already has? But then I just started making videos anyway. Because what you got to realize is, even though you think it's already been done, and even though you might be thinking, well, I'm not going to bring anything to it, you will bring something to it that is uniquely you and put your unique stamp on it, whether or not you think you can do that or will do that. And that's really the key, is your particular brand being added to that image. All right. I remember this thing. Erin's worn this in a couple of other photo shoots, so I'm just going to hit this real fast. All the bling, all the sparkle. It's good stuff. And now I love the idea of, you know, of just doing more photo shoots in general. Like, I don't even care if it's a photo shoot that I've already done. As an example, I've done black tape before, right? But who cares? I'm going to do black tape again because I have the opportunity to do, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's the you want to just try to develop and cultivate this idea that I have every right to do it, just as everybody else in the world that did it before me had their right to do it as well. Just because it's been done doesn't mean you can't. And sorry I'm harping on that idea, but that's something that I think is really important for people to understand. And it's a very, very common problem that we artists, you know, and it's not just photographers, artists in general all struggle with. Well, you know, this idea has already been done, so how could I do it? Everyone has a right to do it. Just like look at the movies, right? Every movie is basically the same story told over and over and over again. And even now, to the point where, they're literally just rebooting the same movies over and over again, too, on top of it. The world is nothing but ideas that have been remixed and repurposed and reappropriated and put back out again and changed and altered and designed. Space enough? Yeah. So one of the things that helps, too, with having enough space in your particular place to shoot is just not necessarily having a lot of stuff around. And I know that's not easy for everybody to deal with, just to say, well, I can just get rid of a bunch of stuff. But that's one of the things that really helped my wife and I, too. When we moved up here to where we live, we went through a pretty serious purge of all of our stuff. And now, like, we purge our stuff about once a year or so. Go through our closets, go through our cabinets, go through just everything, and look at the stuff that we've accumulated and say, okay, is this something that I want or need? And is this something that I actually use? And if the answer is no, then get it out of your life and get it out of your space. And then you don't have to worry about that clutter taking over and taking up that space you might want to use for taking some photos. So again, easier said than done, but most everything is easier said than done. All right, let's get a watermark on this and we'll call it a done deal because this is looking pretty good. I love these images like this where really what I'm doing is just very, very light touch editing just to bring it into the place and put the final touches on it. So that one's done. Yeah, I sometimes add noise as well. Carlos says, I'm going to start a local community photo club. I live in a small village and people are really interested. And I'm thinking to get ideas. That's a really great... starting your own photo club is a great idea. If you're going to do it, a couple of things that I would say. Number one trap that is easy to fall into with clubs is sitting around and talking about the stuff but not doing it. So I would highly recommend that when you start your club, you already have some ideas for like how you're going to actually get out there and take some damn photos as a club versus talking about taking photos and or just talking about the gear. And it's not that you can't or shouldn't have a component of the club where maybe you just talk and have meetings or have educational stuff or whatever, but you want the shooting to be a part of it. So make sure that the shooting definitely is a part of it. So this one I did need to compare to and decide which of the two I like the best. Oh yeah, I think I must have grabbed the wrong one. I did grab the wrong one. This one or this one. Let's do a comparison here. Oh, definitely the one on the left. That's a no-brainer. Okay. So let's take that label off and let's get this one. I do just want to do a quick rotation on this and see if I need to straighten this up a hair. There we go. That looks good. Okay. So have a plan for when you're how you're gonna get out and shoot, and also have an idea of the regularity and try to make the meeting time like regular and consistent. You're not gonna be able to find a meeting time that will please everybody, but that's just the fact of life. Pick something that's consistent, because then everybody will know, okay, the third Wednesday of every month is photo club, or whatever the date happens to be, or the day. And that way, I think you'll be more likely to get a better response and a better attendance from people if you do that. Hey, Auntie. All right. This is where a moderator would be helpful. Bye-bye, antisocial guy. Okay, sorry guys. I just banned antisocial guy. And that brings up something I did want to mention. I've got the emails from you guys who said you'd be interested in moderating. I just haven't had a chance to get back to you. So yeah, I just did a little moderating there. With PSCC, you have a dodge and burn tool that does shadows, midtones, and highlights selectively with both the D and the B, so 6 tools under the 1. Interesting. There's no guitar out there that making you make. Yeah, yep. Andrew, you know it. It's not the gear, it's the person. Hey, CC girl, it's been a little while. If you don't have space to shoot in, then just get outside, because there are plenty of places out in the world that you can use for your location. And that's not, again, it's not always super easy, but that's what I'd recommend you do if you don't have a place of your own that you can shoot in your home or as a studio. Try to find a location near where you live or whatever that you can use as your space. And when I say that, I mean like outdoors, right? And if you have weather problems, I mean, that's just the world sometimes, and you got to deal with that. But whatever you can do to get out there and shoot regularly, that's what you should do. That's what you should do. That's what you should do. So just, whoa, that was a bad one. Right there, you saw that, right? Haha. All right, little background cleanup here too. No problem, Carlos. How you doing, Mark? Good to have you here as well. Winter's here for Canada, and the toddler isn't liking it. I hear ya. We're in the depths of a really cold snap here in Wisconsin as well. I'm not sure how cold it is up in Canada for you guys up there, but it's like minus, I don't even know. It's minus something stupid right now here in Wisconsin, and I don't like it very much at all. But I live where I live, and I just got to deal with it. All right. Ooh, okay, see this fuzz up here? I got to clean that up too. All right, let's get rid of this stuff. That's the glue, I think, actually, from when she was gluing some of the stuff onto the headpieces that she made here. And it's all, and sometimes like it's all these little things you're looking for in your in your photo to clean up, and I miss them sometimes, and I hate it when I miss it because I hate making a whole another layer just to clean up like one teeny tiny little thing. But sometimes that's what you got to do. All right, this is looking pretty good. I don't really even need to do any actual retouching, so we're just going to go right to the skin softening here. It's 1:45. Okay. Whew. We should start a serious conversation in the next month about restarting the shooting club. You know, I've thought about that, Andrew. I really have. The problem I have is twofold. One, I got some gook on my keyboard. Like, people weren't showing up, even though, you know, I felt like we were putting on good events. People, you know, okay, so here's the deal. I had a photo club, and I was setting up this. I was renting a space for us to shoot in. Okay, so I was paying out of my pocket, for a space for us to shoot in. And it wasn't that it was super expensive, but for every photo club, I was paying $30 to rent the space that we were using to set up a whole bunch of backdrops so that, you know, we had enough room for everybody to be shooting together all at the same time, and people didn't have to wait. I mean, people still had to wait a little bit, but it wasn't like one space, one backdrop, one person at a time, right? So we had that, and I was also hauling all the stuff I had bought out of pocket, backdrops, backdrop stands, props, wardrobe, all kinds of stuff, so that we could have a fun portrait club where we'd get together with models and photographers and shoot portraits. And I was asking people to pay $10 to come to these club meetings to help cover those costs and the time that I put into it and all this other stuff. And people didn't want to come, and or people didn't want to pay for it. And so I stopped it. And, you know, sometimes people don't appreciate the effort that you put into things. And the truth is, like, at this point, I myself am not interested in trying to run a photo club. I really, really loved the club when we had it going. I really, really loved working with everybody that was in the club when I had the club going here. And I thought it was a really great benefit, not just to myself, but to photographers in the area. But I don't think everybody else appreciated it in the same way. Or if they did, they certainly didn't show it, because people would show up, you know, and not really put much effort into modeling and their wardrobe, or people wouldn't show up after saying they were going to show up, or people would show up and I'd hear complaints about having to pay $10, you know, God forbid $10, you know, to put a little time and effort into what you're doing. And so I just decided, you know what, if people aren't interested in it, then I'm not going to do it. And that's why I stopped my photo club. And I'm not saying that that should discourage anybody who's thinking about starting a photo club from starting one. Just realize that you're going to be putting time and effort into the photo club. And maybe I didn't do a good job of essentially selling the photo club and helping people understand, you know, what goes into it and why, you know, that $10 was worth it for them to, you know, to help cover the cost, to pay to cover the cost. But regardless, that was my photo club experience. I felt it was great while it lasted. But with everything that I've got going on right now, I don't even know if I'd have time to start a new photo club and be involved in it and do all the things that I was doing for it. So I'm not so sure that that's something that I want to do at this point in time. If we had a local photo club, I might be interested in going to it occasionally, but I'm not even sure about that, just because of, you know, the work that I'm doing in general. I love that shine that it gives. Okay, these roses are going to take a little bit. And I apologize. I was kind of ranting a little bit there, but as you can probably tell, I am actually a little bit upset about how people responded to my photo club when I started asking for them to help cover those costs and pay a little bit of money for it. You know, I'm all for helping people. You guys know I'm all for helping people, and you know, I'm not out to gouge people. I'm not out to you know, exploit people for my own gain, without a care to what they want or what they need or how I can help them. And that, I guess that smarted a little bit when people just didn't appreciate or didn't care for what effort I was putting into this club to try to help other people. When I started that club, it was partly for me, but it was also for everybody else. And what I mean by that is I started it partly for me so that I could be shooting, photographing on a regular basis, but also for everybody else to give other people that same opportunity to be able to shoot portraits and practice lighting on a regular basis, and to essentially create kind of a networking, group in my local area here. And I'm going to keep talking about this a little bit because this is something that I think is important for people to think about. And this is something that's effective to do if you want to create a way and a space for you to have a place to shoot and models to work with and all that stuff regularly. But there's also, a downside to it. So I created it as a way for me to be able to shoot on a regular basis, to connect with models and network with them and other photographers in my area, and to give other photographers and models the exact same opportunities that I was trying to create for myself, okay? And at the point that I let the club lapse, because I didn't officially ever close the club, I just stopped scheduling events for it. I didn't need the club in order to be able to do what I wanted to do, which was shoot regularly and network with other photographers and models and be connected to that photography world. Because through the club and through just doing the things that I did, going to events and meeting people and whatnot, I now have a network of models and photographers that I know. And as you guys have seen, I shoot pretty regularly to the point where, I get to a point where I've actually got to say, okay, I need to take a break from shooting and just do some editing so I can catch up. And I would have kept the club going if other people appreciated it and wanted it to go and were willing to, to compensate me for my time and effort that I was putting into it. But they weren't. And that's again part of the reason why I just decided, it wasn't worth it for me to keep doing it. So yeah, that's kind of the story of my photo club. And it smarts a little bit sometimes when I think about it. But I'm like, whatever. I'm not too worried about it anymore. We just try to do shoots everywhere. You'll find out better how lenses work in small spaces. Yeah, 39 degrees? Oh my God, Todd. Yeah, that's like spring here in Wisconsin. Yeah, they just didn't want to. Like somebody said, Christopher, and everybody else, I'd honestly like to know your opinion on this. Okay, so here's what I was doing. Let me just lay it out real quick one more time. Okay, I bought backdrop. I bought black vinyl backdrops out of pocket for this club. I had white vinyl that I bought backdrop stands, I bought a bunch of wardrobe, I was letting people use my lighting equipment, and I was renting the space for the photo club. And one of the comments, and this is a single person who said this, but this is what it feels like the attitude was in general. Somebody said, why should I pay $10 just to come and practice? They didn't want to pay the $10 to compensate, me for the time, effort, and everything else that I put into it. Like, that's basically what it boiled down to. They felt like they should have the right to come and do it for free, or to commit or say they were going to come and then not show up. Those were the two problems. A, people saying they were going to show up and then nobody would show up, which meant I had a photo club with maybe, one photographer and a bunch of models, which is problematic, or a club with like 5 photographers and no models because all of the models just decided not to show up. And let me tell you, that's a very frustrating situation to deal with. So that's what it felt like to me. Like they just didn't want to pay the money. They felt like I was asking something out of line, which I don't feel was out of line at all, but I might be wrong. I mean, do you guys think that asking $10 for a club like that was out of line? I don't know. Still a little frustrated about it. That's no lie. All right. We have a meetup photo group here. They never set up any type of shoots. Yeah, and when I started the group, I very specifically wanted it to be about shooting, about getting out there to shoot and not just to sit around and talk about gear or whatever else. So in fact, we really never had like just sit down and talk meetings. It was always photo shoots, because that's honestly what I wanted. I mean, I love a good conversation about photography, don't get me wrong, but the club, when I started it, I really wanted it to be about taking the photos, about shooting together so that we could learn together and network together in that way. So that's, that's the club that I set up. There is a local photography club in our area, and I don't know if they... I was a member of it for a little while, and they never did an actual photo shoot. They always get together and talk about it, and that's fine if that's a thing you want to do. But that's not something I was interested in, so I didn't end up staying in that photo club. In addition to that, at the time that I joined that photo club, there was some personal stuff, some family health stuff that started happening, and so I had to withdraw from the club anyway because family was much more important than being part of that photo club. So I'm just focusing on the gemstones on this one here, because that's really where you're going to get the gleam and the shine and the depth out of this. I really love working with Erin. She's really a beautiful creative spirit, and she brings a lot. Ooh, I see some schmutz in the background I got to clean up. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like this crap, I'm going to have to clean that up now. All right. So, roses look good. Jewels got some shine to them. Let me hit up the close here. And this one will be about done as well. What I found too is you don't have to be as... I was also part of the problem with my dodge and burn technique before too, is I was like being overly precise in where I was dodging and burning. And I realized you don't necessarily have to be like so precise. You can just kind of hit these areas and be a little bit rougher about it, because it's not like you're using the brush tool. It's more like, I mean, you are using a sort of a brush tool, but you're making a very slight change to the sort of underlying contrast of it. And if that's not like super duper precise, that's okay. Sorry, I'm concentrating a little bit here, guys. I'm trying to edit fast, but not compromise, what I want out of the photos. So, yeah, it looks nice. It looks nice. Okay. People don't get all the time dragging everything there and setting up. Yeah, exactly. What effect are you adding in your hair layer? So the hair layer is just a slightly different dodge and burn layer. So I have the skin layer for dodging burning, and that dodge and burn layer set to soft light, and then my hair layer is set to overlay. And the overlay dodge and burn is a little bit harsher. So in your details like the hair and the gems and the roses and the clothes, that slightly harsher dodge and burn is appropriate because it creates a greater contrast. But on the skin, that soft light dodge and burn is a little softer, and so the dodge and burn on the skin doesn't look quite so harsh which it can sometimes look depending upon the dodge and burn method that you use. So that's why I have the hair layer versus the skin layer for my dodge and burn layers. Okay, brush tool. I know you guys do. I know you appreciate the work that I do, and I'm not trying to say that you guys don't appreciate that. I was very specifically talking about the photo club. And I'm not even, I can't even say specifically like, this person or that person. It was just a general sort of, general sort of problem with that club. Like, it just wasn't a priority for people is probably part of it, right? Like for me, clearly photography is a huge priority. I mean, photography is probably the #2 priority in my life. And And so I really, really care about it, and I put a lot of time and I put a lot of effort into it. And whether these other people felt the same way, I can't say. But that's probably the easiest way to sort of describe what the problem was. For me, it was a priority, and for the other people, it was just like, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. Oh, you want me to pay $10? Well, it's just not that important to me. And that's okay, that's fine, but then don't expect me to keep putting together, photo shoots because you're not going to be showing up to them. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot. I got to do that fixie fix, merge, and let me clean up this schmutz up here. And then we're going to be done. I'm probably going to have to go back to Candace's and take a look up in that same area to clean up any of that schmutz as well. So let's just do... Oop, that was ugly. Go back to the heel, which will blend a little bit better. I keep hitting a spot that actually is a bit of dirt on my screen. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, now let's put that watermark in there. Bam, in the corner. Hit the save. Woo! That's 2 done. Let's see. First meeting's on the 21st January. That's awesome. It's an hour and a half away. That's quite a ways. It's simple them. You can go somewhere else and practice. Exactly. If they want to practice or not practice, they can do it on their own. I've got my own methods of practicing, and I've got my own network of people, and I love what I'm doing. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, nothing is free. You're right about that. There's always something that you got to give in exchange. Maybe it's attention, like the attention you guys give me, which I always appreciate. I do. I deeply appreciate that. Maybe it's actual money, maybe it's effort, but there's always something you got to give. Subham, I do sell the t-shirts. If you want to check out a t-shirt, let me pop the link over here. I got to get my mouse all the way over to the other screen here. If you are interested in a t-shirt, just go to, let's see, I got to remember, it's selfhelpphotographer.com/tees. And you can check out the t-shirts there. I'm all for helping out people, but yeah. You motivate us, and we learn from you. I enjoy the photo club we have here. That's fantastic. I'm glad to motivate. Crap, I just shut down the chat on you guys. I hate it when I do that. I gotta bring the chat back up, so give me a moment here to get that back. View on watch page, open link in new tab. Click that. Pop out chat. There we go. Got it back. I hit the wrong window to close. But yeah, I appreciate that. Eleni. I try, that's what I want to do. I want to help motivate people. I want people to experience the same joy that photography has given me. That's why I do this. Schmutz, yeah. No one cares about your business more than you do. Exactly. Now, I'm done ranting. It's just nice listening to you talk and rant while doing other photo-related stuff. I just had a mini shoot. That's fantastic. Candy, you do. You look awesome in your t-shirt. I just did it again. I keep closing the wrong darn window. Here we go. Let's bring it back. And then I can actually get back to editing. Wow, it's 2 o'clock already. All right. Okay, let's close this image and get on to the next one. Now, I'm happy to switch to a new topic. I gotta take a drink here. I'm out of water. I can't take a drink. I love the shirts on offer. I just bought 5 of them. No regrets. Did you just buy 5 of my shirts, Sabam? That's crazy. If you did, that's amazing. What was the project that you... Oh, it's the 52-week challenge that Petapixel did. That's cool. I didn't see that post that Petapixel did. All right. So this one is now done. And I'm doing all of the same. Like, I'll come back and I'll do the dark shots. But I'm just... Because these are all basically like the same kind of photo. So it's going to be fairly quick and easy to edit all of these together and then move on to the next one. I am not doing myself a particular challenge this year. Every year at the beginning of the year, I think about doing a challenge, and then every year I realize I probably shouldn't try to take on a big challenge because, like we talked about on Photoblab the other day, the there are challenges to being able to take on and complete a challenge like that, and I don't think I'm in a space where I can do it. And I think I work regularly enough and challenge myself regularly enough that I don't need like a specific challenge for myself. I think challenges are great, but I don't think I don't think I would stick to a challenge if I gave myself one, is really what it boils down to, just because of the irons that I have in the fire as it is. See, there's that schmut. Okay, I gotta clean that off of I gotta clean that little schmut spot off of the monitor because it's driving me nuts now. Let me get rid of this spot. That's like the 10th time I've tried to Photoshop it out of a picture, which is awful. All right. But I do have goals, and one of the goals, I was talking about this, and you guys, here's going to be the fun part about the Let's Edit. You guys are going to get to watch me learn how to do composites and things of that nature. And that should be fun because I've never really done any composite work, like serious big kind of composite projects where, you know, you photograph the person in the studio as an example, and then you completely, you know, change the picture by putting a new background and whatever. And that's the thing that I want to learn to do. So if there is a challenge, it's going to be to do some photo shoots where I specifically take photos of a person so that I can make composites and learn about making, you know, good composites and see how that works. And you guys will get to laugh at the terrible composites that I make when I start, because I'm sure they're going to be awful in the beginning as I figure out how to do it in a way that looks good versus how to do it in a way that doesn't look so good. All right. And I'm looking forward to that because humor is always good. Everybody needs to be willing to laugh at themselves. All right. This is Shannon. Shannon's super cool. Shannon owns a boutique store, and it was actually her clothes that were the wardrobe for this photo shoot, which was super cool. Which reminds me, I've got to find a place that's going to be willing to loan me like a sharp suit or something for my beard shoot for this year, because I'm going to do like a super sharp, like on point looking, like super snazzy, snappy guy looking photo shoot for my beard shoot for this year. I'm not going for like the crazy. Now this year I'm going for like the super stylish beard look. Not right now because it's this, but I mean when I do my annual beard photo shoot, that's what I'm going for. And I don't actually own a smart suit myself, so I'm hoping that I can borrow one from a local like tuck shop or something of that nature. Gotta get this hair out of her eye. And this kind of detail work is always a little dicey. This one's not so bad, but I do want to get rid of it. I think probably the worst thing about photo shoots is the hair, honestly. In a good and a bad way. In a good way because I love the wild hair look where it's just out there like that and it's all over. I love that look. But the bad way is that, like, there's always cleanup you got to do with the hair. And when it gets over the eyes, like, that's the worst. That's the worst. But those weren't bad. That was pretty easy and pretty quick to fix. The only thing that made me check was when you said on my screen. Let's see. The only thing that made me check, I'm working on and listening and checking in here and there. I kept on looking. There was a spot of dirt. Yes, Eleni. I mean Photoshop and photo manipulations. I tried to do composites for the supermoon photos that I took. It was a disaster. Mine are going to be a disaster too, Sandy. I guarantee my composites are going to be a disaster because I've never really done it. And the very few that I have done in the past, I know were terrible. So that's why I want to learn it. I think it's a worthwhile skill for me to have and to know. And I think it'll also be fun for me in terms of, like, creatively what I can do and, take some of my photos and ideas. Because so here's one of the ideas that I have. And this is an ambitious project. I know it's an ambitious project, and it's something that I want to do. But a particular area of photography that I am interested in doing more of is cosplay, which plays right into the style of shooting that I've already been doing, which is, these concepts and these creative ideas with, makeup looks and costume and wardrobe and sets and all that sort of stuff, right? But here's what I want to do. I want to take that, like, a step further, because I've done some cosplay stuff already, right? Like, as an example, we did this shoot here where, it's the Teen Titans. You guys saw me editing this, and we had this whole thing. But what I want to try to do is create a comic book, but it's all photos. And I don't know that I want to start by, like, trying to write a story, because I think that's an even bigger project. But I think what would be cool would be to start with, like, an existing comic book, like an issue of a comic book, and then recreate that comic book in photographs. I think that would be a really fun and really cool project. It would be a great way to use compositing and a lot of other photography techniques. So that's something that I want to do. I have no idea yet when or if I'm even gonna I am gonna do it someday. I'm not gonna say that there's not a chance that I will, because I will do it, but I have no idea when I'm gonna get to actually being able to do that project, because it's gonna be a big project. And the very first thing I got to do is find A, cosplayers to work with for it, and then B, we've got to come up with a comic book issue that we want to try to recreate. And then C, start planning the whole thing out. And the planning is going to be huge because, comic books are sometimes crazy in terms of, like, the stuff you see in them. And when you draw it, you can draw whatever you want. It can be as fantastical as you want. But to create it as a photograph, boy, that's going to be a heck of a challenge for some of those, some of these things. So that's an idea that I'm very excited about, but I haven't actually approached yet. Just because of the magnitude of the idea. And I have some people in mind for working with. In fact, Super Casey here is one of the people that I think I would probably end up working with on this project. But it's going to be a group of people, because you've got a whole cast, essentially, based on the issue of the comic and the comic book characters and the story and everything else. So I think that's going to be a super fun project whenever I get around to starting it. I've been thinking about that for probably about 6 months now as a project. And this is actually, I think I might have mentioned it to my wife. Kim, you can tell me if I actually did or didn't, because I don't recall. But this is the first time I've mentioned it, like, to anybody else outside of maybe my wife, if I did mention it to her. What do you guys think of that project? Do you think I'm crazy for taking something like that on? I think it's going to be super fun, but I also think it's super crazy. Since I come from the 3D rendering world originally, I've been doing a lot of composites. That's cool. Peter, I just started learning 3D modeling. It's hard. It's really hard. Sharp-dressed man like on Duck Dynasty, right? I will, Peter. I will definitely hit you up, because I ran into a problem already with that printer freaking out, although I have no idea what happened there. Uh-oh. That's a bummer, Sabam. I just talked you into another cup of coffee. Ooh, Jim, I'd love to see that photo. I'd love to see that photo. Subam, I am not on Quora. I am aware of Quora, but I've never really spent any time trying to create a presence there. I know it's a question and answer platform. Part of the reason I don't use Quora, I'm not gonna lie, is I hate having to sign up and create an account for every single gosh darn thing out there in the world. And occasionally I run across Quora as a website when I'm searching Google looking for an answer to something. And I now studiously avoid Quora because I just refuse to have to make a website to get an answer to a question. When I can typically get that answer elsewhere. And I know that's probably petty, right? Because I was just talking about before, people don't appreciate things, and I don't want to make the account. I don't want to pay the fee, which is making the account, to get on Quora. But that's because I just am sick and tired of passwords. So maybe I'll look into Quora, but I'm not going to go any further down that rant hole because I've already ranted that whole thing to death. There was something else I was going to rant about the other day, not today, but oh no, it was sort of a rant. I recorded a video for February that I'm very excited about. I don't know if, well, I hope people will like it. I think people will like it. People generally like my videos, and it was sort of a rant video. Looks good, looks good. Pick the comic first and then find the players. Yeah. Tim, she's up in Canada, and she's really, really cool. It would be super fun if I ever had the opportunity to work with her. I would really, really love that. Her name is Kay Pike, and I've watched some of her streams on Twitch. I really like her. If you guys haven't seen Kay Pike Fashion on Twitch, you should definitely check it out once or twice. Super, super cool lady. She body paints herself as different comic book and other characters, game, anime, whatever. Amazing, amazing artist. She's really fantastic. I would love working with her. That would be super, super cool. But right now, the problem with that is she's up in Canada, which is probably closer to you, Tim, possibly, than it is closer to me, depending upon what province she's in. I believe she's in a province near California, but I don't know that. That's just sort of the impression I've gotten based on watching her streams a few times and interacting with her. But I know some cosplayers, like as I said, Super Casey is pretty well connected in the cosplay community. So that's why I think like working with her would be a good place to start, because she's going to be able to help me find other players for the project. And I'm getting connected into the cosplay community, but I'm not fully connected yet in the sense where I've got, a network of people that I can reach out to and work with on a regular basis, which is why I'm trying to go to more different cons. Like there's a new con in Kalamazoo, Michigan next year called Doki Dokkan, and I'm going to be going to that in July, I believe it is. So I'll be in Kalamazoo, Michigan for 3 days it's like July 28th through the 30th, I think. Which I think will be a lot of fun. And I'm going to be giving some panels there. Hopefully, I submitted a couple of panels. And also, I'll be there taking photos. I'm going to set up like a photo booth sort of thing, I think. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to approach it, because I want to take more than just hall shots, right? Like, I don't want to just stand in the hall and be like, hey, can I take your photo? And then have them stand against the wall, right? Because that, to me, isn't any fun, and it's not the kind of cosplay photo I want to take. I want to take cool, kick butt looking cosplay photos with cool lighting that really helps augment the character and show off the cosplay that that the person took the time to create and do. I don't even know how I got to this place talking about cosplay, or Doki Dokkan, but yeah. Oh, I was talking about my comic book project. Of course I was. Do you guys get amused by the tangents I end up going off on? because I try to have stuff, you know, some topics, some things to talk about, so I don't just sit here and be like, right? But today I didn't have any topics to actually talk about other than I wanted to tell you guys about my photo shoot for the weekend, which again, I'm super excited about. But obviously, just chatting with you guys always gives us something to chat about, which is awesome, and I love it because you guys are amazing. And I love you guys. I just started work on story editing. Other photographers took pictures I'm editing. Darth Maul. Ooh, yeah, Darth Maul is a pretty cool guy. Are you going to do boudoir photography? That's something I would like to do and learn. Eleni, I've done a little bit of boudoir, and here's the thing with boudoir for me. I like boudoir as a genre of photography, but I don't really want to do boudoir because generally speaking, that's client work. And we've talked about it in the past. You guys know that I don't really like doing client work. In the sense that people are paying me and I got to advertise and try to get them in, you know, to do, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's an extension of doing weddings or families or senior portraits or whatever. I like boudoir as a genre, and I would and have shot some boudoir with some of the models and people that I know and work with. But I don't know if I want to do boudoir as a paid thing, because then it's different when, you know, when it's a paid job versus doing it for the creativity of doing it. And I don't believe that taking money for, you know, your photography like sullies your work or that it's selling out or anything like that. It's just not something I like doing. I don't like doing that kind of work. You know what I mean? I hope you guys know what I mean. Because portrait, boudoir, families, weddings, those are great photography businesses to have for people who like and want to do them. I just don't like and really want to do that kind of work because I like to do what I like to do, which is this stuff right here, what I'm editing. This is like the work that I want to do. If people want to pay me to do this all the time, like I'll do it. But this is something where generally it's a collaborative community, which I really love. That's not me complaining. I don't mind that I'm not paid for this work. I think sometimes Kim minds a little bit in the sense that, you know, it's not that she minds, but we were just talking about it the other day. Is it worth it for me to try to build this sort of stuff that I do, these kinds of photos that I do, into like a business where I'm charging money for this stuff? And there's a part of me that really doesn't want to do it because I like the collaboration of it versus somebody coming to me and saying, I want you to take these kind of pictures of me. And then that as a client transaction, it's just different. And I don't like dealing with those kinds of transactions and situations when it comes to my photography. I just don't like it. Oh, Tim, I'm sorry about Nightbot. I don't know what happened here. I forgot Nightbot was in here. I'll have to whitelist you. I forgot Nightbot was still active. I don't know what you were trying to say, Tim, but I apologize for Nightbot getting overly aggressive there. Let me go shut it off for now, because I'm not using it today anyway. Nightbot. Oh, at this point, it actually doesn't matter. I'm probably going to wrap this up because I'm just about done with this anyway. Oh, I swear to God, I turned that off. It blocked you for saying putting in smileys, and I know I turned that off. So it must have reactivated somehow. So I apologize, Tim. It's a fine edge. When it becomes a full-on job, it's less fun and feels like it has happened rather than happening. I was saying Tangent Man could be your superhero. Yeah, it could be my superhero. Tangent Man. At some point, Carlos, I actually do want to create my own character. And like write a comic book. But right now, I just want to work with existing characters and recreate a comic book in a story that already exists. That's sort of like phase one, which is a step towards phase two, which is write a story using existing comic book characters. Okay, so like a little bit of fan fiction, basically. And then stage three, create a character. Whoops, that was the wrong place to be there. Create a character and write a story, and then take the comic book photos and put it together as a comic book. That's kind of the phases of the project as I've seen them in my head. And again, something I haven't even started to try to approach yet. And I probably won't even approach that until next year for two reasons. Number one, I'm thinking, this year, hopefully by the end of the year, I'm pretty decent at making composites. I'm hoping. And number two, this year, I still really need to focus on the backside of business things to get this to a point where it's sustaining, and once that's taken care of, which I think is going to happen this year. I really think it's going to happen this year. This year is starting out really good on the business side of things, which is stuff behind the scenes. And as long as that continues, this year is going to be the year where everything comes together in the way that allows me and my wife the freedom to do these things that we really want to do, including making photograph comic books. I don't think I froze up. I think we lived in a bigger city. You doing paid work would make more sense, but sometimes I do get annoyed when models are late, don't show up. Yeah, that I agree. That is the annoying thing. Sometimes, almost all the time, models are late, and it is disrespectful of my time. And I always try to be ready. But I mean, no lie. When I set up a time for a photo shoot, I am ready to go for that time, but I always expect that I'm not gonna see anybody for at least an hour, maybe a half an hour to an hour, like they're gonna be late. That's a regular occurrence, and it's unfortunate that it is, but it is, and yeah, for what it's worth, that's a frustrating thing. If they were paying, perhaps they wouldn't waste your time. Yeah, I agree. Perhaps they wouldn't. But if they were paying, I don't know if I'd be doing as much work as I'm doing either. And I'm not sure if I'd be enjoying it. It's hard to say. I don't want to say I wouldn't be enjoying it, but, I just don't know. I just don't know. I always wondered if Spyros was paid to do the shoots, but I didn't want to be invasive as ad. Do they pay for the prints? Yeah. I mean, when I give them the photos, I tell them if they want prints, let me know. And I don't charge a lot for my prints, but they do. And I don't honestly sell a lot as prints. They do get the digitals, for free because we're collaborating and it's a trade. But the print thing hasn't really been anything that's been a big... Like, I haven't really sold any prints, to the models. A couple of them have definitely said they want to get prints, but then nobody's ever really come through and said, okay, I'm ready to actually buy the print now. And I'm not going to, chase them down and say, you said you wanted a print. You're going to buy a print? Because that's, to me, that's pointless. If they want the print, they'll come to me and I'll get it for them. So, by the way, questions about money and things like that, I mean... Feel free to ask. I don't mind people asking those questions. If it's something I'm not comfortable asking, I'll just say, I'm not really comfortable asking that. But you guys know I try to be transparent, and I don't really have anything to hide. But because it's part of all of this stuff, there's a lot of different aspects to it. And when we have something like this and we want to turn it into a business and make money from it, which I know a lot of us want to do, there's so many different ways to approach it and try to figure out how to handle it and balance the things that you want to do creatively against the things that you need to do monetarily. And from the beginning of me doing this as a business, in the very, very beginning, 15 years ago at this point, 11, 12 years ago at this point, at first when I was thinking I want to start a photography business, it was I want to sell my pictures you know, somehow take portraits, sell it as art, whatever. And I pursued that for a while, but then I realized, and I had that point of shift where I realized, you know, actually what I want to do is help other people learn how to be better photographers, how to take the kind of pictures they want to take, and I want that to be my business. And I just want the freedom to photograph whatever I want to photograph, you know, with basically, you know, without any constraints around it. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Yeah, Tim. I do, and I know you're kidding too, bud. I know you're kidding. We are totally open when it comes to talking about money. I wish more people were. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, you know what, guys? It is 2:30, and that's an end of a photo right there, and I've got a mess downstairs that I got to clean up before I go get Kim. So as usual, thank you so much for joining and for hanging out with me. You guys are really amazing and wonderful. I appreciate that you like to keep me company while I edit. And yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. I will see you guys next week. Have a good day. Have a great weekend. There's a very small chance I'll live stream one or both of the photo shoots on Sunday or Monday. It's a small chance. I haven't announced anything because I haven't even talked to anybody who's involved in the shoot about live streaming. So there's a small chance I might do that. So just keep an eye out if you want to watch it. It might be there, but I'm not guaranteeing anything because I don't know yet. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you guys. I'm gonna go. Thank you guys. I love you guys, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.